And good evening, folks. Welcome to the Ghosts of Bacon, episode 87. I'm your host, Jake Roberts. See a lot of people in the chat already this evening. Ray, yes, you and Patty were definitely the early birds tonight. Good to see you, Patty. Adam, my friend. Z, my friend. Good to see you guys in the house. I have a fun one for you tonight. Let's see. A few years ago, I did a presentation on the Fama Fraternitatis, one of the very first manifestos published by the Rosi Crosse. And in it, up to that point, you know, I shared with you information as I had. I'm looking a little crooked here. Hold on. Yeah, I noticed stuff like that. So I did the best of my ability at the time, but when I was writing my last book, The Keys of the Rosi Crosse and the Ghosts of Bacon, I made a discovery within the Fama and as well as the other manifestos. Hey, AO, good to see you. And yes, hi to everyone who smashed the like button. Thank you, AO. Definitely, everyone hit like. Please follow me. The more followers I receive, the more opportunities open up on YouTube for me. I appreciate you, AO. You always remind me to promote my stuff, and I always forget to do it. So tonight, what I did was I took some of the new discoveries that I've published in my latest book, and I'm going to share a few of them with you this evening. And let me go ahead and get everything set up to present here. There we go. I suppose that will work. So in the Fama Fraternitatis, there are a list of characters, as you're going to see in this presentation. Thanks, Penny. They're only listed as letters. Okay, so as I go through this presentation, I'm going to be showing you these, and then and for years, people have speculated about the identities of who each of these characters are. What I've been able to do is actually figure out who these letters actually represent, and I think the answers are going to come as no surprise to you if you are a regular viewer of this. So in order to understand this, once again, yes, we have to know the cipher systems of Francis Bacon. If you're new to the channel or you're new to decryption completely and the ciphers of Francis Bacon, go check out one of my previous videos. It's my Ghosts of Bacon of 523, and it's called Bacon Ciphers 101. You can get on my channel and search that, and it'll come right up. And in it, I go over the ciphers he uses, such as simple, reverse, K ciphers, fourfold cipher, and Elizabethan short cipher. This evening, we're not going to be discussing anything in fourfold. So if you're not aware, Fama Fraternitatis was a publication that announced the existence of the Rosi Crosse to the world. And in a previous presentation, I did a decryption of this cover, why the word Fraternitatis was actually hyphenated in this manner when there was plenty of room to write it in a different way. I explained that in the previous presentation. And so they referred to themselves as the Fama Fraternitatis Rosicrucian. And this was published in 1614 in Germany, in Hesse Castle, to be exact. Interesting thing about Hesse Castle, Germany, this is also the location of Europe's first observatory, Prince Wilhelm IV. And he had such, forgive the pun, luminaries as Christopher Roth and Tycho Brahe hanging out with him there at his observatory. In it, they basically outlined their philosophy. And up until now, the author has always been listed as unknown. If you've seen my work, you already know it was penned by none other than Francis Bacon. Now, in it, they announced there are 6 articles, what they call articles of agreement, that they're going to abide by. The first one is that they're going to do nothing but cure the sick, and they're going to do it for free, gratis. None of the posterity should be constrained to wear one kind of habit, but to follow the custom of the country. What this means, posterity, in this sense, means anyone who follows their teachings or their philosophy. It's not just their own children following along behind them. It means anyone who follows them is the followers is the meaning. So what this means is whatever country they happen to be in, they need to wear the clothes of the country they're in, so they kind of fit in. I believe this was because, obviously, Francis Bacon and Walter Raleigh were Queen Elizabeth's spies. So, and then every year upon the day C, they would meet together at the house Santa Spiritus, or write the cause of their absence. Now, a lot of people have speculated about this and what the day C means. A lot of people think it's the Roman numeral letter for 100, so the 100th day of the year. But I believe, because of the cipher systems, that simple cipher is a value of C is 3, and the reverse cipher value is 22. So I believe um, on March 22nd would be the day that they would meet. And it makes sense because, well, it's the first day of spring, or they're very close. The next is that every brother should seek a worthy person to succeed him after his death. And I love this. The word CR should be their mark, seal, and character. I've demonstrated in a previous podcast how Walter Raleigh used this at Roanoke when he left the letters CRO carved into a tree. Lastly, the fraternity should remain secret for 100 years. Interestingly enough, 101 years after this publication, the Grand Lodge of Freemasonry made its appearance in London. And so this is supposed to be the Santa Spiritus, I believe, because if we zoom in on the banner, we have the letters of SS above the word Fama. So there you go. Now, the lore surrounding the Rosi Crosse and Christian Rosicrucians, people call CRC Christian Rosicrucians, and they believe, unfortunately, because one of the things in the Fama and the Confessio, they say that they write in parables. It's not intended to be interpreted literally, but in the parable itself, it says the Christian Rosicrucians, Father CRC, was born in 1378. And as you know, with this work, a lot of times dates are not dates at all. He allegedly learned from Eastern Magi when he traveled to the Middle East. He was an adept who started recruiting a group of followers. He had a noble birth, but he was orphaned at the age of 4 and raised in a monastery until he was 16. Later additions to this tradition of groups calling themselves Rosicrucians, not the originals, there has to do with a crypt with the letters vitriol. And these letters stand for this Latin phrase, which when you translate it says, visit the interior of the earth, by rectification thou shalt find the hidden stone. So a lot has been written about all of this, and much of it very speculative. It goes beyond this presentation tonight, but just focusing on the fraternity of the Rosi Crosse and the cipher signatures associated with it. So just like Bacon's name, Fra Rosi Crosse has values. The simple cipher value, of course, is 157, a very famous number representing them. The reverse cipher produces 168, and K cipher produces 287. The one most commonly seen is 157. Fourfold, it totals 193, which is actually the 44th prime. Many of you know that 44 is the value of the name, or the word Rex, and it's considered to be Bacon's secret signature. Also, FRA period can be used as an abbreviation for the name Francis. In fact, Francis Bacon signed his name using this technique when he needed the values to appear correctly. And so we look at Rosi Crosse. When we calculate the values of just the words Rosi Crosse, we get values in simple of 133, reverse of 117, and K of 211. And it's exactly the same as Stuart King, 133, 117, 211. So therefore, we could even look at Fra Rosi Crosse as representing the name King Fra Stuart, as in King Francis Stuart. Now, there's a list of names of the characters that appear in the Fama Fraternitatis. Of course, CRC, a lot of people believe this is Christian Rosicrucians. The first one to appear is IA, then GV, RC, and this was described as CRC's deceased father's brother's son, if you can follow that. CRC's deceased father's brother's son. So it'd be CRC's cousin. B, he's described as a skillful painter. And we have IO, who was succeeded by PA, PD, and A was his successor, and NN was A's successor, and so on. We have R, who was the successor to CRC. And lastly, GG. Tonight, I'm only going to focus on three of these names, just because I find them three of the most interesting. And that is the first, third, and the fourth. We have IA, RC, and B, the skillful painter. So for identifying, oh, what a typo that is. I'm not going to fix it though. We calculate the cipher values of these letters, right? But then there's a constant that we add to each, and I'm going to show you what they are. Throughout the entire manifestos, each character is referred to as brother. And so knowing that frater was a known value used by Bacon and Raleigh and the others, I decided to take these values and add them to the letters, and it worked. But we have to remember that this was first published in German, and so I had to calculate the values of the German word for brother, which is Bruder. And isn't it interesting? The values of Bruder are exactly the same as frater, Latin for brother. 65 is simple, reverse is 85, K 143, and short cipher 29. So suddenly, as soon as I saw this, I knew I was on the right track. And so there is one character, however, that is an exception to this rule. And so let's take a look at the identities. First, we're going to look at CRC. So in each of the cipher systems, we just add the values of these letters. And in simple cipher, they total 23. And Bruder in simple cipher is 65. We add that and we get 88. Now, many of you will remember that this is the K cipher value of the word twin. So in that sense, I thought we had a hit. But once I saw a pattern developing, I realized it's also the value of Angulum in simple cipher. And that is the house name of Francis II pictured at the right. Reverse cipher of CRC totals 52, and to which we add 85, which is frater and Bruder in reverse cipher, and totals 137. And if you're a regular viewer, you know that's the 33rd prime number and represents the name Bacon. In addition, it's also the reverse cipher value of Angulum, the name of his father's house. K cipher produced 75, and when we add that to the K cipher value of Bruder, 143, we total 218. This is not a known cipher signature, but looking at the first two responses, I realized it's 2 times 109, which is the 29th prime. And from the previous line, you know that 29 is the value of Bruder and frater in short cipher. So we have the two brothers, Angulum. So CRC can represent either or both of these guys. But at the same time, we were looking for specifics here. So we move on to IA. Now, this is the exception to the rule. In the manifestos, they state explicitly, brother IA was not a German. And so what I did was I decided to calculate the value of brother instead and add this to the values of AI. Brother, simple cipher 82, reverse cipher 93, K cipher produces 160, and short cipher is 38 appropriately, the value of twin in reverse. So if we add these letters together in each of the cipher systems, along with the value of brother, this is what we get. If we add simple cipher, IA totals 10, adding that to 82, we have 92. And many of you will remember that's the value of Bacon in reverse cipher. Reverse cipher of IA totals 40. And as we add that to 93, we have 133, which on the previous slide, you remember, is the simple cipher value of Stuart King. K cipher produces 62, which is the simple cipher value of twin. And when we add that to 160, we get 222, a very interesting number. First of all, it's 2 times 111, which people will remember is the value of Bacon in K cipher. So it represents the two brothers, but it's also the simple cipher value of King Walter Stuart I. If we take short cipher, once again, I plus A totals 10. Again, it's short cipher as well. Adding that to 38, we have 48. That's actually the value of Walt in reverse cipher. Not often used, but within the context of these other known quantities, I would say we have a hit. Now, we're going to take a look at RC. This is CRC's deceased father's brother's son. Again, if you can follow that. Whenever you look this up, they always have a reference to the sense that this sentence has always been an enigmatic one. Yes, it's very mysterious, and it should give us a clue as to the actual identity of RC. And if we consider that Francis Bacon and Walter Raleigh are CRC, their deceased father was Francis II that we saw on the first slide. Francis II had a brother named Charles IX, and he had a bastard son named Charles de Valois. He was the Duke of Angoulême, and that's him pictured at the right. Doesn't he have very familiar looking features? The letters RC can be written as 17 and 3 or 173, and that's the value of King Charles in reverse cipher. RC, the letters initials, could also represent the idea of Roi Charles or Rex Charles. But let's go ahead and take a look at the values. If we add R and C in simple cipher, they total 20. Added to 65, we have 85. Again, the value of Frater in reverse cipher. Reverse cipher produces 30, R plus C. Adding that to 85, that gives us a total of 115. And so this is the value of the name Drake in K cipher. So I found that to be interesting. So what you're seeing here is that these cipher values, these letters, actually produce the names of the members of the Rosi Crosse, and some of them will actually name multiple people. In this case, Drake's name appears. K cipher totals 46, added to 143. We have a total of 189. This is a complete mystery, okay? Until the next slide, that is. Short cipher totals 11, R plus C, added to 29. That totals 40, which we know is Francis in short cipher. So it seems that we have the name brother or Frater Francis Drake appearing, but 189 is a mystery. So what do we do here? Well, we take a look at the context of who this is supposed to be, a deceased father's brother's son. Well, as I indicated, that points to Charles de Valois, which in simple cipher totals 145. And if we just do what reverse, I'm sorry, is 230 and K is 353, all interesting numbers. But if we consider that RC also represents the idea of royal cousin and how Bacon always applies the appellation of Rex to himself and Walter, if we add the value of Rex in simple cipher of 44, we have 189. 145 plus 144 is 189. So this number names his cousin, his royal cousins, as Rex Charles de Valois. Pretty cool. Now, when we're continuing the identities here, B is described as a talented artist. And if you've been watching this show for any amount of time, you know that I've stated repeatedly that Sir Francis Bacon was probably one of the most talented Renaissance artists. And in the past, many other researchers and historians have speculated that the character called Frater B represented Francis Bacon. And here we get to put it to the test. So in simple cipher, the letter B has a value of 2. Added to Frater or Bruder of 65, we have 67, which everyone recognizes as the value of Francis in simple cipher. Reverse cipher has a value of 23. The letter B is 23 in reverse cipher. We add that to the value of Bruder in reverse cipher, which is 85, and that totals 108, which, if you have been paying attention on this show, is also the value of Francis in reverse cipher. Anyone see a pattern developing here? The K cipher value of the letter B is 28, which when added to 143 totals 171, which again, everyone recognizes as the case cipher value of the name Francis. And so if we can continue with short cipher as well, this is kind of an interesting example, because when we add 2 to 29, the value of Bruder in short cipher, we get a value of 31, which is Rex in reverse cipher. So even though all of the other names also produce very similar values, the same names repeat throughout this process. Francis Bacon, Walter Raleigh, and Francis Drake as the Rosi Crosse. And also, as you could see in the previous, his deceased father's brother's son, Rex Charles de Valois, is named as well. And so this is why I contend that at its inception, this was not intended as a real quote unquote brotherhood per se, the way it's been portrayed. I think these guys started this as kind of like a little bit of a joke. Um, they were, a group of spies and working for, I don't know if Charles de Valois was involved in any of their intelligence work, but he was certainly in the know of their identities. Later incarnations of Rosicrucianism and in particular as it kind of grew as an outcropping of speculative Freemasonry, I believe, even though they use aspects of the symbolism of what these guys were doing, I think that originally many of them knew what was going on here, but as time went on, I think people have kind of forgotten some of those lost secrets. So take a look at our chat. Hey, Stan, good to see you. Let's see. I hope you didn't smash it too hard, Adam. That would hurt. What did you do to it, Z? It was at 8, now it's at 1. All right, gang. So yeah, those are the what I have for you today. Now, the remaining characters in the Fama Fraternitatis, their information also appears in my book. Now, I didn't do what I would call a real deep dive into the manifestos. That would require an entire book-length manuscript in and of itself, and I only dedicated one chapter to the Rosi Crosse and that. Thanks, AO. I hope I didn't go too quickly, but I a lot of times as I start going through the math and the numbers, people's eyes glaze over. And I believe in if you're going to tear off a Band-Aid, do it quickly. So, and you took away my punchline, Pen. What's weird is you've got twin sisters born March 22nd. Ironic indeed. Isn't that fun? Penny and Patty, who are in the peanut gallery this evening, that's their birthday. Had a recent birthday, got to see them. We had a wonderful time. So anyway, one of the things that I encourage you to do, if you haven't already done so, pick up a copy of the Keys to the Rosi Crosse. I go into a lot of detail regarding the fraternity of the Rosi Crosse. Yeah, Adam, you of all people know this. Numbers never lie. I'm still looking for more finds with Drake as its feature. I am too, because there is a mystery around this guy. It's no secret. I believe he faked his death. The story just doesn't add up. But I'm sure that he retired a very, very wealthy privateer. All right. It is cool, right? Yeah. So since I have some of you here held captive, Not seeing a lot of action in the chat. Not any questions, things like that. I know it was a short presentation, but I wanted it to be kind of short and sweet. Um, I am putting out a poll because regarding I've been getting conflicting feedback regarding the new beard. What are your thoughts, gang? Does it stay or does it go? Let me see your votes here in the chat. Hey, Jan, that's no problem. Thanks, Jan. That's one. Patty says it's gotta go. One sister gives a thumbs down. Tim says, keep it. Thanks, brother. That's not really the look I'm going for, Jan. You know, it's funny, when I grew it, I thought it was going to be salt and pepper, and it turns out to be all salt. Thanks, Ray. I thought it looked rather scholastic too. Writer-ish. Okay, so far. Penny. Looks good, but yeah, it can go. Okay, so the sisters both say it's got to go. That's too bad. There we go. That's the answer I'm looking for. Thanks, Adam. Shakespeare? No, Jake's beard. Yeah, as soon as it gets a little thicker, I planned on, kind of trimming it down and shaping it. Yeah, Decoder, it's thanks, AO. Decoder, yeah, it just got past the itchy phase, but my girlfriend says she calls it picky. Like it pokes, I guess. So that's the real discussion here. Oh, good question, Adam. I think he found out. He probably found out before then, but at the age of 15, that's when he kind of riled up some of his friends and followers, including Walter, because he was the rightful king. So, and I do know that there's one telling that Drake is the one that sailed them to France with Amias Paulette. I believe that Walter actually didn't stay in France. I think he went with Drake on his circumnavigation the first time. Tim, I love it. Hey, Jenny, no problem. We are just getting to wrap things up, but I was getting everyone's advice of whether the beard stays or it goes. My sisters gave it a thumbs down. So Creamo mint beard and scruff cream, love it. Z, always the voice of reason. Indeed, my friend. Well, I do, Patty, but you know what they say. Yeah, she says it covers up my dimples. I mean, what good are dimples? They're just holes in your face. I mean, who needs that? All right, gang. Thanks for the feedback. Appreciate you. When we get together again here in a couple weeks, hopefully I'll be able to drag in a guest for you who will have something interesting uh, to say. Adam, if you and your dad want to pop in, that would be fun. There's always an open invitation for you guys, um, and always looking for more content. um, so Ao's been trying to guess what Bacon's biggest secret is, and it's safe to say all three guesses are wrong. Well, the thing is that um, all of these secrets, there are a couple of them that I've uncovered that are bigger, I think, but nothing that's going to be published anytime soon. I can tell you that much. All right, peeps. Gonna wrap things up. Want to thank you for playing with me this evening here for a little while. Uh, went a little 33 minutes. That's a good place to end. All right, gang. Thanks a lot for your support. I appreciate you as always. Um, and like I said, it was a quick one tonight, but I really wanted to share those three in particular because I think they're fun. Um, and oh gosh, Jan, don't say that. Thanks, Ao. Appreciate it. Yes, everyone stay safe. Have a great holiday coming up, and we'll see you in a couple weeks. Thanks, Pen. Thanks, Patty. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.